Let me ask you something that might stop you cold. What if I told you that something you did this morning, something completely ordinary, could be quietly increasing your risk of Alzheimer's disease? Not a genetic condition, not something handed down from your parents, something you chose, something you can change. A few years ago, researchers published findings that shocked the medical world. They discovered that up to 40% of Alzheimer's cases could potentially be delayed or even prevented, not through medication, not through surgery, but through simple, everyday lifestyle changes. 40%, that's nearly half. And yet most people have no idea. They go through their days doing the same things, completely unaware that their brain is quietly being affected. So today, we're going to change that. Because if you, or someone you love, is over 45, what you're about to hear could be the most important thing you watch all year. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here, because this video is going to be different from anything you've seen on this topic. Today, we're uncovering 8 surprising daily habits that researchers have linked to increased Alzheimer as risk. And I promise you, at least 3 of these are going to genuinely surprise you. Now before we get into it, I want you to know something important. This is not about blame. This is not about guilt. This is about awareness. Because awareness is the first step toward protection. Here's what most people don't realize. Alzheimer's doesn't just appear one day out of nowhere. The changes in the brain can begin 10, even 20 years before any symptoms show up. That means what we do today, right now, actually matters enormously. So stay with me through all 8 triggers. Because number 6 is the one that almost nobody talks about, and number 8 is the one that hits closest to home. Let's get into it. Trigger 1. Chronic sleep deprivation. Let's start with something almost everyone is guilty of at some point: not getting enough sleep. Here's what's happening inside your brain while you sleep. There's a system called the glymphatic system that acts like a cleaning crew. It flushes out toxic waste products, including a protein called amyloid beta, which is one of the key substances found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. When you don't sleep enough, and we're talking less than 7 hours consistently, that cleaning crew can't do its job properly. The waste builds up, and over years and decades, that buildup can cause serious damage. A study from the National Institutes of Health found that even one night of sleep deprivation significantly increased amyloid beta levels in the brain. One night. So, if you've been telling yourself you'll sleep when you're dead, please reconsider. Your brain is counting on that rest every single night. Trigger 2. A sedentary lifestyle. Here's the truth most of us don't want to hear. Sitting too much is not just bad for your body. It may be quietly shrinking your brain. Physical exercise increases blood flow to the brain, stimulates the growth of new brain cells, and reduces inflammation, all things that protect against cognitive decline. Research from UCLA found that prolonged sitting was linked to thinning of the medial temporal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories. That's the exact region that deteriorates in Alzheimer's disease. You don't need to run marathons. A 30-minute walk 5 days a week has been shown to make a measurable difference. The key is consistency, getting your body moving every single day. Trigger 3. High sugar and ultra-processed food diet. This one might change how you look at your next meal. Some researchers have even started calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because of the strong connection between insulin resistance and brain health. When the brain becomes resistant to insulin, it struggles to use glucose for energy, and brain cells begin to starve. A diet high in processed sugars, refined carbohydrates, and ultra-processed foods has been directly associated with higher levels of brain inflammation and accelerated cognitive decline. Comment below if you've already started reducing sugar in your diet, because that small change might be doing more for your brain than you know. Trigger 4. Social isolation and loneliness. Now here's something that often gets overlooked in the conversation about brain health, and it's something that became a massive problem in recent years. Loneliness. A landmark study from Harvard found that people who reported higher levels of loneliness had a significantly higher risk of developing dementia. Social interaction keeps your brain challenged, emotionally engaged, and mentally active. When we isolate, whether by choice, by circumstance, or because of loss, the brain loses essential stimulation. And over time, that lack of stimulation accelerates cognitive aging. If you know someone, a parent, a neighbor, a friend, who has been spending too much time alone, this might be the most important thing you do for them today. Pick up the phone, visit them, invite them out. It matters more than you know. And wait, trigger number 5 is one that millions of people are doing every single night without realizing it could be harming their brain. Trigger 5. Excessive alcohol consumption. Let's talk about alcohol, and let's be honest about it. Research consistently shows that heavy alcohol use damages the brain directly. It causes brain shrinkage, reduces the production of new nerve cells, and disrupts sleep architecture. Which brings us right back to trigger number 1. The concerning part, many people don't consider their drinking habits to be heavy, but even drinking more than the recommended limits regularly, especially as we get older, has been linked to faster cognitive decline. This isn't about judgment. It's about information. And now you have it. Trigger 6. Ignoring hearing loss. This is the one almost nobody talks about, and it genuinely surprises people every time. Untreated hearing loss is now considered one of the single largest modifiable risk factors for dementia, ranking higher than physical inactivity, smoking, and depression in the Lancet Commission's landmark report. Why? Because when you can't hear well, your brain works overtime trying to process and fill in the gaps. That cognitive overload, over time, takes a real toll. Social withdrawal from hearing difficulty also compounds the isolation we just talked about. If you or a loved one has been putting off getting a hearing test, please don't wait. It could be far more important than anyone told you. Drop a yes in the comments if you found that one surprising, because most people have never heard this before. Trigger 7. Chronic stress and anxiety. We all know stress is bad for us, but what's happening in the brain during chronic stress is something most people never fully understand. When we're under prolonged stress, the body releases a hormone called cortisol. Trigger 7. Cortisol is helpful. It sharpens focus and prepares us for action. But chronically elevated cortisol literally damages the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, and accelerates cognitive aging. Studies show that people with high long-term stress levels have significantly higher rates of cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease later in life. Finding ways to manage stress, whether through mindfulness, exercise, therapy, time in nature, or meaningful connection, isn't just good for your mental health. It may be protecting your brain from one of the most damaging forces it faces. Trigger 8. Ignoring cardiovascular health. And we've arrived at trigger number 8, the one that hits closest to home for most people watching. Your heart and your brain are more connected than most people realize. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, and obesity all dramatically increase the risk of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Here's the striking fact. Research shows that people who manage their cardiovascular risk factors in midlife, their 40s and 50s, have significantly lower rates of dementia in later life. That means the conversations you're having with your doctor right now about blood pressure, about cholesterol, about weight, those conversations are not just about your heart. They are about your brain. They are about your future self. Managing your cardiovascular health is one of the most powerful things you can do to protect your cognitive future. Now take a breath, because I know that was a lot to take in. And I want you to know, if you recognized yourself in some of these triggers, that's okay. That's actually a good thing, because awareness is the beginning of change. You are not helpless here. The research is clear. The choices we make in midlife have a profound impact on the brain health we experience in our later years. That's not a burden. That's power. If you are a caregiver, if you are watching over a parent or a partner or a sibling, you are doing something extraordinary, and sharing this information, talking about it, acting on it, is one of the most loving things you can do. Here's what I want you to do right now. Take one trigger from today's video, just one, and make a small commitment to address it this week. 1 better night of sleep. 1 walk around the block. 1 phone call to someone who might be lonely. 1 appointment with a doctor you've been putting off. Small steps. Consistent action. That's how we protect the people we love. If this video helped you, please hit the like button. It helps more families find this information when they need it most. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video. And share this with someone in your life who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of the 8 triggers surprised you the most? I read every single comment, and your response might help someone else who needs to see it. Thank you for being here. Take care of your brain, and take care of each other. I'll see you in the next one.